Okay. I'm just testing out, see how things work. Hopefully, the stream is at a good quality now. I have hooked up an internet booster, so hopefully it will be a lot stronger of a Hey, hold up. I need to see something real quick. I need to see what microphone I'm recording with. That. Oh, sorry about this. Sorry. Yeah, the correct one. Alright. Yeah. So, streams hopefully working a lot better now. So we got the internet adapter, or the internet booster, to boost the signal from the Wi-Fi. So we're no longer on Wi-Fi, we're on Ethernet cable. And the thing about the Ethernet cable was that I'm pretty sure I own about 40 of them. And I was like, okay, now I can finally use one because I actually need it. Wrong, as a matter of fact. I do not know where they all went. They just decided, peace, we on out of here. And so I had to scavenge around the house to find what few Ethernet cables remain from the vast fortune of Ethernet cables that we seem to have before. And I managed to find 3. And one of them was actually in use, which I had no idea about, but I couldn't take it. So that one's kind of out of the equation. So you you know about the story of like the 3 bears, were like mama bear, baby bear, daddy bear, whatever the fuck. One is too soft, one is too hard, one is just right, or yeah. So in terms of length of the cable that I needed, this is nothing like that story because I did not get the 3rd Ethernet cable that I needed. That was the right length. I have one that stretches from probably one end of my house to the other, and one that barely reaches one end of my arm to the other. So a big length disparity between the 2 cables. But we can just use the long one. Short one is definitely not going to be used at all. I don't know what that exists for, and like what could be possibly plugged into that. Yeah. So, okay, now I can actually get to work and start getting a better version of the background that I have back there, because I don't like the way that it's currently at, because it's like it's erased. It's like poorly done because I did it in a rush just to test out to see if I could, because I've never used OBS previous to this, so I wanted to see if I could just layer images. So I'm just gonna make a slightly, very, not even that good, but slightly better version of what we're working with over there. Yeah, I'll just erase most of, and then I can like make it like smoother on the edges in a moment. Do we want to go for here? Yeah, we'll go around here-ish. No, we'll stop that from happening. Yeah, so we're just improving our stream layout just a little for next stream. So we want like the kind of cracked bricks, or like the remaining brick type of aesthetic. So I think I'll get rid of this as well. and then we'll get rid of this so we can have sort of indentation into the so like one brick hangs over the other one. And what do I, how far does this go? Okay, sure, we can erase. Do this as well. Oop, not what we wanted. Okay, so yeah, we'll just get rid of this brick as well. I had my stream minimized over there, and I just saw the screen wig out, and I don't know what end that's on, and I hope everything's okay. So yeah, a lot of my inexperience of streaming will probably lead me to not knowing what the hell is going on a lot of the time. Okay, let's just make this smoother already, because we don't need to spend too much time on this, even though that's what I did the first time and just rushed it and I didn't like the outcome. But we'll just I wonder what's the right call, because I don't want to make it too. I don't want to make it too just the brick, but also leaving the cement kind of makes it look a bit worse. It's difficult to find the middle ground of what I want. You know, that, because I feel like I should show the outline. And maybe when this is all finished, I'll put like a border around it. Should actually spend time and develop a proper stream overlay at some point, but I kind of just want to get started on the project as opposed to just doing more stream stuff, which I just spent a lot of time just wasting in the last couple of months of last year instead of actually get going on the project. I just like kept putting things off and not getting to work, so we'll get rid of this fast, or seemingly. Birding. Don't know what that was. Oh my god. What is this message? Oh. Okay, let's not do that. Sorry, private messages. I think I have my desktop audio muted, so no notification sounds should come through. Well, there's seemingly a lot of them, because sometimes people like to send messages individually and not in bulk. No, actually is one conversation going on now. I'm gonna mute this because it is irritating. Mute conversation. 24 hours. Mute. Okay. Should also probably read what the messages say at some point, but I can do that later. I doubt it's urgent because it's in the group chat. Yeah, pressed up against the brick is okay. I don't want to get rid of too much of the brick's outline because then it kind of becomes invisible. Like the edges I have over here, I don't like actually. I don't want to do that. That's what I want to avoid. And I don't know how much of that brick or like the cement to take away. I'll leave this one here for the most part. We need to get rid of a little bit more pixel. We'll see how this looks in a moment. Definitely can't have this be a direct straight line. That just looks horrendous. Not bad, not bad. Yeah, anything to talk about at the moment? Not really, just getting this done hopefully quickly so we don't have to dwell on it too long. See, yeah, okay, if I cut it too much, then it just kind of looks like the brick is floating. And, yeah, definitely, because look at that. So I think we need to have a bit. Ooh, good, good. Good stuff, good stuff. Don't think that's too big of an issue. Oh, make this a little larger, make this a little shorter, indent that in more, pull this out. Okay. Once again, I do want that out, but at the same time, let's not get too carried away. Nope. Nope. Yeah, maybe this isn't the aesthetic I want to go with too much. Shouldn't be too bad. I do also need to like figure out where I want to actually put the. That's just actual brick that I use as reference. Where do I put the logo? I put the logo here. Okay. So I want that on top because I need to tell where everything is going. I need to figure out what I want to do with this. If I want to have it be smaller, have it be over by the side near me. I'm gonna see if my audio is working properly. I have a really moany voice, my god. Okay. Let's just go with the aesthetic. Aesthetic. Let's. I'm gonna get rid of this. Hopefully that makes things better. Do I want to keep everything else? Maybe I do. Maybe I do. I also just don't like what I just did there with this cement. Push this out a little. That's too much. That's definitely too much. Let's go back a couple of steps. One more step. Thank you. Cool. I think this works better than the erase tool because this way I can kind of push the cement onto the brick, whereas before I was just removing it entirely. Let me zoom out and see what I'm working with. No, those are. I do not have a functional alt key, it would appear, which I kind of knew, but okay, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. I wish I could fix this thing over here. I might cut that off. Okay, we'll cut that off. Be gone. Not bad. Okay, I quite like that. Now where does the logo go? And how big should the logo be? We'll go into that layer. We'll now we won't up the opacity. We'll just resize. Okay, so I was thinking, does this fit here? Yeah, it's not very prominent, but does it need to be prominent? And should it like straight up be here? Or should I have, no, because I like this kind of the dot thing that I have going on. So if I'm overlaid on top of that, like my actual person is overlaid on top of that, maybe it won't be visible. Well, we can play around with that in the actual OBS settings next time. So I'm going to save this file, save as, and hopefully it'll let me save over what it's already named, because the current issue with that is it's currently in use as the bricks are behind me at the moment. Brand design. Current? No. Oh yeah, no, I'm accidentally saving the file I want to save. Well, I'll save the file real quick, but I also want to export, which is what I want to do. Brick. Thank you. Save. Do you want to replace? Yes. And I can replace it even though it's in use back there. Ideally, I would love it if it just like magically appeared behind me, but I imagine that we have to like close and open OBS, which isn't a top priority. Now we can get onto like the factions writing that I actually want to touch on today. Let's close out of this. So before last night / yes, no, definitely not yesterday, 2 nights ago, yeah, the other night when we were writing, we were kind of talking about how we should kind of follow a direction with each group. And I started writing down like which type of like life philosophies I should go with. and that's sort of what we covered in that first stream that we did. I decided I think we'll go with a slightly different route where we take we take sort of virtues and vices and use that as our kind of theme for how we write our characters. What I have here is it's sourced from this page here that talks about Aristotle's analysis of 12 vices versus virtuous, and this is the thing that I like about Aristotle's theory. There's a lot more written than we're not really going to be using as much, especially just a lot of the written text. We're not really going to touch on these much, especially a lot of it we're not going to touch on. We're mainly focusing on these kind of this table that was created, which was that he stated that there was 12 desires, and you kind of have to keep each of these 12 desires balanced. Because if you go a bit too far on one side, you start going from virtuous to vice. So courage is something to be admired, but being overly rash or being cowardice, so having no courage or having too much courage can be a downfall. And it's a little difficult how I want to use these, because each character I'm writing wants to have their own unique personality, right? So that's understandable. Am I attributing these to each individual character and having them represent one of these desires? I don't think so. I think I'm going to go and apply these to the factions themselves, and kind of have the people that make up the factions all fall under one of these categories. So what I have here in Photoshop is the table that we're going to be using. I have working titles for some of these groups and no official titles yet. And once we establish what kind of virtues and vices that we can attribute to each of these groups, we can decide, hey, once we decide on which virtues and vices we're giving to which group, we can decide how we should portray each group, what type of characters we should write. Some characters with, if we use the cowardice, courage, and rash example, we could have a group that indoctrinates that pretty well, whereas the leader is pretty courageous and leads his group pretty well. And some of those people in the group, they follow it a little too much, and they're the rasher side of that. And then there's some that struggle with keeping up with the enthusiasm that the leader shows and portray more cowardice traits. They're not necessarily stuck to using these traits, but it serves as a good guideline for what we want to work with. So I was thinking for the main protagonists, we have this one, achievement. The main protagonist is actually the ones that I struggle with the most. And how I should write the characters, and I know I should be writing all these, creating the characters and writing them during the live streams, but I took the liberty of writing 3 characters very loosely, mind you, outside. so we could be better prepared for the stream. Where do we get? Current working title. Okay, cool. Here is the group that we're working with. One, which is a working title, protagonist, and the partner to the protagonist. We have 3 very different personalities from this group. So, doing what I want to do, having each faction represent a vice and virtue, or a set of vice and virtues that match desires. It's a little trickier for wider casts that have various personalities. I think I'll typically have it so the majority of the group members show off this one trait, and since our protagonist isn't actually the leader of the group that he now they, sure, why not, they are in, so I think I should reflect the group's dynamic more so on the leader and less so on the protagonist, and have the protagonist be someone who kind of stands out, and the protagonist partner that kind of stands out as well from the group. But then again, I do want like many group dynamics in the protagonist group, so the people that will probably stick to their virtue and vices the least will probably be the protagonist's group, because they're going to probably receive the most character development besides like antagonists that will follow the virtue and such. So sticking to a virtue and vice might be a little limiting to the characters we need to spend more time on, which is why I think that we should not abandon the structure for the main group, but we should definitely pick one that's more ambiguous, that we can go one way or the other with. Achievement is the one that I was considering. So characters that are overly ambitious, characters that can set proper goals for themselves, and characters with seemingly no ambition whatsoever. Now, I decided that that our main protagonist will probably indoctrinate, but like embody the spirit of the vice of under ambition. Once again, it's not gonna be one of their biggest traits, but they'll represent it enough to fall into the category, and there'll be others in the group that may share that lack of ambition. Proper ambition, I've been kind of going back and forth whether or not, because the leader of the group that I have written here, I have him with very kind of he has like the proper head about him. He's stoic, he's analytical, he's observant. Bold and brash. No, he's brash and blunt. He's ambitious, which is like the proper character trait, which I decided on before looking at these virtues. And he's a bit controlling, since he's got like a level head on him, like, and he's like stoic. He's a stoic character. I go back and forth on whether or not I should make him the proper ambition, or if I should make him the overly ambitious type. And for the sake of the story, I think I'm going to make him overly ambitious, which will probably play to his detriment. Not even necessarily at the end of the story, but we can kind of use that as fuel for the fire for our starting controversies, or not controversies, but conflicts between the rival factions and gangs. and then the person that can actually embody proper ambition can be our partner here. So like we can make a note of this. Embodies lack of ambition. We can do embodies sufficient. Oh, the spelling of this is going to be awful, by the way. Fair warning. As sufficient, but spelled incorrectly. Ambition. And then our stoic leader will have an overly ambitious. Overly ambitious. Embodies. Bold body. Bold body. Yeah. So, with those three characters chosen for their vices, and like these vices will serve as like a good fallback for any characters that we are struggling to write, which I don't think will happen too often. But we are developing a diverse cast right off the get-go. We won't introduce everyone immediately, but the characters exist nonetheless in the story. I want to have a good idea of where the story's going, despite the fact that my project being focused on mainly the first issue. So overarching story isn't necessarily that big of a deal. But it'll definitely help me in knowing where I'm going. So secondly, I decided that I had to pick what sort of trait the old faction, the previous faction, should have. This is the one where the leader used to be a member and is no longer a member. And this will kind of be led by the previous leader's childhood friend. And he's kind of meant to be a foil to the leader of the protagonist group. He's supposed to kind of represent a lot of similar traits to the protagonist, but, and I know that's not what a foil is, but he's going to embody a lot of the similar traits of the main character. However, he is going to feel and act in very different manner. So altogether he will. So let's take a look at the possible desires that we can choose from to give him the proper virtue and vices that best suit him. Now, the one I decided to give him is resent injustice, which is a very powerful one to give someone. Very powerful emotion. Feeling complete malice, being a vice, righteous indignation, and envy. I think this gives him enough like antagonistic force to become a proper first arc and continuous kind of rival to our protagonists and their group. I want them to I want the protagonist group and this group to kind of reflect each other, but have very different tones about them and carry themselves very differently. So the antagonist of one will share these traits more so than the ambition. and like if I have one, or the leader of the group being being encompassed by a vice more so than their than a virtue, then I think I should probably have it matching. I'm wondering if I should do contrasting or matching for the antagonist. Should the antagonist be fully justified in their meaning? And with antagonists, you don't want to have them be too shallow of a character, because those aren't enjoyable antagonists. When they're on screen, it's just like evil. We don't want evil. We're doing a series on gang violence that will be kind of lighter in tone, but it's still, we don't want, you just don't want like basic evil. You don't want Disney evil, you want characters with like proper development and depth behind them. So I was wondering which category he should fall under, and if we were to go matching but contrasting, we could matching or contrasting. Matching would be a vice excess, so envy, because if one is overly ambitious, then he is envious. Or if we were to make him virtuous, we can make him righteous indignation and have him be more justified, which I quite like, but it might serve better to kind of take both of them and have him be a very contrasting character, being a vice of deficiency. So both matching in the fact that they both follow vices more so than they follow virtue. However, they in fact contrast in one. It has a deficiency of a desire, and one has an excess of a desire. So I think that works rather well. Now, so I have these laid out for us. I'm gonna take note of the antagonist group, but I can't do it in this document because this document was allocated for a different group. Factions, zones, world building, characters, and we will start a new Word file called previous, then add WT to it as working title. Well, let me drag that over here. Oh, let's not drag it directly like that. Let's open it, then drag it over, or have it open in the middle of our screen. Either way. Empty Word file as it is. So what's the working title for this character's name? Antagonist, because original. No, I don't want to commit to naming things right now until I get a better feel for their personality and traits. I always like when characters kind of embody their name. I love when fictions do that. I'll just call him Antag, and we'll have him be reflectant of. So we can copy over a lot of these traits. Skadoosh. And we can get rid of this. In bodies. Malice. Which, once again, can definitely fall under the category of like. Definitely fall under the category of basic evil, but from our chart it matches up pretty well. of being like completely contrasting, especially with that being number 6 and this being number 12. I know the chart isn't laid out like that, but if it was in like a wheel sort of chart, those would be directly conflicting one another, which once again isn't relevant, but I just like oh hey Camel Cats, sorry, didn't see you come in. I didn't mean like that. I didn't mean like, okay, I didn't mean that as in like a cringy pretending you're here. I didn't see you in chat, sorry. So that's sort of the idea for what I want those groups to embody. Next I'll be next I shall be choosing from our remaining groups. I want to save this at the moment. Then I'll, what else do we have? Current. Okay, factions. Sorry. Oh, I didn't mean to whistle. I know that probably picks up on the mic poorly. What do we got next? So we have freelance. This is a very special case. We can touch on this a bit later. There's only a few characters that I have in mind for this. I have powers and stuff written down, which I think we'll tackle tomorrow, just to write down and just transfer over, because I don't have these in documents, but I have them on hardcover. And not only do I have them in hardcover, but I have them in green ink. That's not a good thing. That's just not a good thing. Okay, so we touched on this one. We did not touch on. So the brutal faction is one I think I'm gonna have fun writing with. Let's take a look at what we can do. So what ones make sense? So anger makes sense. Do they, indulge too much? I don't know. Actually, I don't feel like anger suits. I feel like it's an obvious choice if you're like, what would a very brutal savage group do? Do they use anger? Kind of more primal and brutal. Yeah, I think definitely they'd probably take a lot of satisfaction in their like torment and torture, and once again I think my working title of brutal probably works against itself, because it's not really brutality, not like no, okay. So it's more of a sadistic group than like a savage type of brutality, So I think pleasure works for them the most, because pleasure, insensible, so the unfeeling, so that works for like psychopath type characters if I want to add them to the group, which makes sense for. Actually, I like to double check everything, so I'm gonna pull up our Google Chrome here, and I do want to just double check all the traits meanings, because I don't want to find out that I've just completely misinterpreted how the words work, or the words meaning are. Insensible. Okay. Without one's mental faculties, typically as a result of injury, intoxication. I don't know. I think insensible. All types of psychopaths. See if there's a connection between those words. Psychopath, insensible. I'm just gonna assume that's kind of. I think that's what makes most sense to the story if I take it that direction. So it's the people that don't feel pleasure and don't, because yeah, a deficiency of not having enough pleasure is not really feeling an emotion. So I could have psychopath characters. I could just have characters that aren't really taking pleasure in life in general, besides some things that they may partake in. Temperance, that temperance being a good level of pleasure, which is a trait of, in Stoicism, temperance is actually one of like the 4 main traits. They want to make sure that they indulge themselves, but I guess trying to be stoic is just keeping your emotions under wrap to try to become a more virtuous person. So by nature of that sort of I was going to say mythology, that's not the right word, the like not sociology either, what's the word I'm looking for, we'll call it psychology. And the psychology of Stoicism tries to make you embody the most kind of virtuous person that you can be. And then we have pleasure over indulgence. This sort of works in this sort of definitely works for creepy characters that set you off. I love characters that kind of give into that like need for like pleasure. As weird as that kind of sounds, I think those are some of the more interesting characters to watch, because you're just watching someone in their absolute habitat, just loving what they're doing, and they can like get really crazy with it. So I think definitely I have a bias towards what my favorite group is already. Let's see, I really hope that changes over time as I develop the story more and write more. So yeah, I don't have to go anywhere. I don't know where I was going. So pleasure can be the brutal group. I'm also coming to understand that I want to team each I was going to theme each group with colors that I thought matched them, and since like a lot of my branding for the Zones project is like red and black, that the protagonist group was going to be red and black, and I was like, okay, sure, they can have red and black. And then I was like, okay, so there's a mafia group. Oh shit, they should kind of be red and black as well. And then when I was considering how angry and kind of unjust that the antagonistic group feels, it's like, what sort of color shows injustice and anger and malice? I'm like, oh, red. Okay. Okay. Oh, the brutal group. They're, blood, red. Oh, why do all of these groups like fit with the color red? I feel like none of them should be allowed to have the color red, because all of them deserve it. The one I felt most comfortable with changing is definitely the malice to like a purple shade. These colors don't dictate how things are going to end up later. These are just so I can kind of identify which is which. So the brutal group, what kind of color shows pleasure in pain? Let's get pink or purple. I don't know. I don't know. Anyone in chat? No. No one. How about with a with an idea of what color to choose. Pain. I feel like I should just make this decision on the fly and then change later, but I'm having difficulty doing that. I'll go to deep purple. I know. I'm gonna go to pink, and I'm gonna change the color of the other one. We'll go to dark pink. Sure, we'll go with that. Let's see what this looks like. Group, add. Boop. I'm gonna lower the opacity to around 30%. That's fine. Now we just need to change this to like an actual dark purple, because this is too similar. Oops. Don't. Yeah, okay, good. I need to deselect so I can actually click on the right one and make sure I'm on the right layer, and click, and I was either, yeah, I was on the wrong layer. My god, after me saying it and all. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Oh, that's even more similar. Who let that happen? This one needs to be more pink. Clearly. Boosh. So let's rename these accordingly so I won't forget later and just not know what they're for. Pleasure, yeah, so this is the brutal, and this is the tag, or previous, you know. I'll leave it, sure, works. What do I have in layer 1? Oh yeah. So what other groups do we have to work with? So let's talk about the freelance group real quick. See what we're going with for that, because ambition works for, but we've taken ambition. So small giving, stingy, generous, extravagance. Probably not that great giving. Pettiness, magnanimity. To be magnanimous. Oh my god, that word, my dude. Okay, vulgarity. Really? What's the actual definition of vulgarity? Vulgarity. The state or quality of being vulgar. Thank you. That's helpful. Idiot. Lacking sophistication or good taste. Great giving. Are you? I don't really get this. Is this one to just be magnanimously accepted, or magnanimous? Generous or forgiving, especially towards a rival or less. Okay, that's an interesting one to have. Okay, I'm quite liking that. Especially towards a rival or less than powerful person, which is usually used in like a court of law, where like we've come to a I guess they don't really say magnanimous decision, do they? I guess I'm just talking out my ass. So magnanimous being forgiving to someone in a lower position, vulgar being not of sophistication or to explicitly offend reference. Okay, yeah, no, that's. I think words change over time, so maybe not as solid. So what else? What's the other third? Being pettiness. So I guess these are like how you carry yourself out. Do you do you act in very, yeah, if you're petty, then you're just acting kind of childish way, and so it's vulgar, very kind of childish. And forgiving. Yeah, I kind of, I guess great giving kind of is your kind of capacity to forgive, I feel, which I'm going to write over so I'll actually know for the future. Let's switch this up. Actually, let's do this a little more tidier. Oh, I cannot hold down shift and go in a straight line apparently. That is not what Photoshop does. I'll just write in whatever font that it gives me, not in whatever size it gives me, because that is crazy. That is too small, and that is just right. Forgiveness. And that is also white text, so we will not leave it as it was. In fact, we will do the opposite of what I was saying, and very clearly okay, my color picker appeared on the other screen, so okay, yeah, go with this, forgiveness, and let's do the opposite of what I said I would do, because I do not like the font, and I think it's the what are we on? We'll just go Arial. Oh my lord, that is just all types of wrong. None. Okay, sure, that'll do. Forgiveness. It's not really desire, but we'll have a B because it gives me a better idea of what we're actually talking about with pettiness and magnanimity. By God, I hate that word. Honors. So, if you're timid, if you're self-confident, or if you're conceited. Possibly. I don't know. We'll come back to that one. Anger, truth, false modesty, truthfulness, or boastfulness. That's a fun one. Could definitely go with that route. I like truth, but I could use that for a future group. Yeah, I like that for. I like that. We'll take it down. We'll take her down. And we might change our mind later. So for the time being, we are making this one the freelance group. Which isn't actually an official group, so it doesn't really matter how much I actually give it a group, because I'm just making kind of unique characters. Amusement, humorless, wittiness, or buffoonery. See, those are good for some comic relief characters. We're gonna touch on that one later. Social life. unfriendliness, friendliness, and flattery. Is flattery a vice or a vice? Is flattery a vice? I don't properly feel. I feel like people only use the word flattery when you're complimenting other people. But that could be for various means. Let's take a look. Flattery. Excessive and insincere praise. Oh. Yeah, okay, yeah, I guess, yeah. Okay, sure. To further one's interest. So you only do that when you're like trying to like woo someone, so to speak. Either to get like a job promotion or to like try to get them in bed or whatever needs suit you at the moment. Like trying to get a lend of their car, you know. Yeah, it makes sense. Flattery, truth, or not flattery, yeah, flattery, friendliness, and unfriendliness. Which definitely I can play into. What group would I won't really associate that with any group at the moment. And then finally we have fear of disgrace, shameless, proper shame, and excessive shame. I kind of like, just by reading that alone, I kind of like the idea of a religious group that kind of treats itself like a street gang. And I'm gonna write that down because I think it's a fun idea. I think we should go with it. Let's roll with it. If we don't have to have everything be a proper street gang, we can definitely play with it. And everyone loves a good badass priest or badass nun. You know, a regular nun, sure. A regular priest, sure. They're not. A badass priest, yeah. You know he's gonna kill a bunch of people in the name of God. Or a nun, you know they're carrying some oversized weapon that they're just gonna pull out and so we'll go holy group. They don't even necessarily need to be proper religious like church, but they will be holy. And of what religion? Not a current one, not one that already exists, because we're creating an entire new world that isn't entirely based off of any real world locations. So yay, we get to make a religion. I should not clap into the microphone. I should not do that. Yeah, holy group sounds fun. Let's roll with it. Holy group. For each one, we're gonna let's start writing down what they embody. Bow body. Actually, it'll help me if we just if I pull this over here onto my other monitor, I'll be able to read directly from it. So the actual protagonist group will be the fear, the desire of achievement. The brutal faction will be a we decided pleasure. The old gang, we decided, is resent injustice. Let me just double check something real quick. Yeah, no. The mafia / Dons gang, yet undecided, but we will come back to that real quick. Law enforcement, we decided nothing yet. Oh, we'll also come back to the law enforcement. And then the holy group, we have decided on fear of disgrace. Okay, cool. Moving forward, we still need to pick a vice or desire for the Mafia Don, and we still need to write something about the Holy Group, but we'll get back to that at some point. We need to finish our picking of desires first. Let's pick. So law enforcement. What best shows the law enforcement? I think. So what sort of qualities work best? In the world of that, we have them. They are limited and cannot interfere with much. They are. I'm like looking around my monitor if that will help me like see through the Photoshop window. Limited interference. They don't actually do much, considering that they're law enforcement. You know, they like let a lot of things slide, whether that be through like bribery or just laziness or through the power that they can't do anything because they don't have an actual zone to have powers to do things with. So they're not as useful as maybe they could be. High number of officers. There's a lot of them, so they can all have various traits. But there'll probably be like a lot of nameless characters. But for the characters that we are talking about, what sort of qualities are we giving them? Possibility of being paid off and getting rid of later at some point, whatever. Maybe. Honors, timidity, self-confidence, or conceit. Is that valid? Do you think that's valid for a law enforcement? Are they conceited? Let's just double check it. Conceit. What is the actual proper definition or the proper spelling? Yeah, excessive pride in oneself. See, definitely not. Because if they're conceited, then they obviously would think that they're better and they'd be able to accomplish more than they're actually accomplishing. But they're very inactive, so I don't see many of them being one side of their vice, which kind of like so. But there's an opposite to that, where timidity being a great quality for them to have, as the majority of them should be overly timid, and then there'll be some with proper confidence to accomplish things. But with self-confidence is kind of encompassing for, like, you know what you're able to do, and you're like prideful enough to hold yourself to it. Whereas courage, I think, is kind of it shows a lot of the same qualities as like courage and self-confidence. They're kind of linked together, not entirely, but they kind of share that sort of ideal. Then we have sorry, I'm gonna color this so we don't forget that this is the Holy Group. Perhaps too similar to the other one, but we'll keep it. Holy Group. I'll say it once more. Holy Group. So yeah, I think cowardice, courage, and rashness might work well, because we do want them to be more cowardice. Cowardice and timidity both work. I guess we'll look up the proper definition for timidity. Timid, lacking courage or confidence. Okay, so easily frightened. So that sort of timidity. Lack courage, confidence. Okay, sure. So this is more of straight danger, and then timidity is more of like how you hold yourself as a person. So if we take fear of danger, we need to have virtuous and rash. Yeah, I think there is no other way about it. I think the law enforcement are just definitely fear of danger in this scenario. We have them cowardice. We have some that want to actually do good and take part, but also we got some foolhardy ones that think they can run in there and solve things despite not being very capable, and they just assume that they're capable, or they just get too full of themselves. Either one, it works, I think. Cool. Now what? We have one more group to decide, and that is the Mafia. What works best for the Mafia? What works best for the Mafia? Forgiveness, pettiness, magnanimity, and vulgarity. I like it. I do like it. Since they were broken up into the same thing, being small giving and greater giving, I'm going to give both trait 3 and 4 to the Mafia. I think they, since they're one of the largest groups, or they are the largest group, they can properly display all these traits, honestly. I think that, yeah, I think it works well. I don't have any kind of hang-ups about this. The Mafia. Probably not a color I can use. Being similar. Let's go with green. The Green Mafia. Let's go with deep dark green. Mafia. Okay, sure. That leaves 4 traits unused. So we can just kind of bang this out right now and create these groups if we want and touch on them later. One group that I definitely want to establish is definitely that amusement group, because I feel like those would work as great comic relief characters, and then social life could be a kind of alliance type group along the way. Sorry. One of the things that I one moment, please. Sorry. Cool. Oh my god, my neck. Not sure if you can hear that on a microphone. If you did, that is not good for me. Okay, so now we won't just hand out things for the sake of giving them out, but we do need, for the story that I have in mind, we do need to have there be like a lot of gangs that we can name on the fly. Not just on the fly, but like have the names of in advance. Cancel this, please. I want to rename this to Mafia, and I want to rename this to Law Enforcement. Please tell me I've been spelling law enforcement correctly. I have indeed. Okay, perfect. So what other groups are we going with? So there is the amusement group, which I want to touch on first. Oh shit, dude. Do we do like a Grease Lightning type thing? Do we do like a kind of like a musical group? Just reading absolute crazy groups. Could do. This one's definitely a fun one. Let's I like this already. Make this one a bright orange. Very bright orange. And since I don't have anything to actually give them right now, we can just call them the Comic Relief Group. We can even like break them down into even smaller subsect groups of being humorless wittiness. So I'm gonna make a little note of that. I might want to do that. Let's do this. Good. Control C, Control V. Control C, Control V. So I might even break those up into 3 small tiny groups. I think that works well. I'm gonna merge all these. So I can even like make small little not throwaway groups, but groups that I can use for various like one-offs, so to speak. Let's go to smaller comic relief. So those are the less serious groups. I'll write down about them. Less serious. Yes. Groups. Bracket. Comic relief. Then we're gonna tab over to here, and then they represent. What did we say they represent? Amusement. Thank you. Very good. Amusement. That works. We said these guys inductor fear of danger. Very good. The dons represent I forget. A lot of things. Giving. Giving, forgiving, big giving, small giving, Thanksgiving. Oh? Yeah, giving is what they represent. Whether they are stingy, generous, extravagant, petty, magnanimous, or vulgarity. I like all of those. Those can work for Mafia, definitely. I am happy with things and their current situation at the moment. Giving, achievement, farewell, amusement. What other ones did we create? We created the holy group. We create. That's everything, I think. Everything so far. That is, we still have a few groups left over. Honor. Dante Bosco. No. Honor. Timidity, self-confidence, and conceit. We can have this be very similar to I'm gonna do this, and this I'm not as happy about as the Mafia one. No, I'm not gonna do it because conceit. We're gonna really look up the definition of conceit because it's important. Sense of pride in oneself. You know, I'm gonna do it. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. Control T. Yep. Made sense for the Mafia. It kind of makes sense for the main group too. Is it a way of me getting out of writing an entire new group? No, not really. Is it a way of me forcing myself not to write, or getting myself not to force a group to exist from out of nowhere? Yeah, kind of. Achievement, and what was it, class? Honors. Only the honors people could tell me that. That's how we worked with it. And honor. If they are this amount, if they are timid, self-confident, and conceited. Cool. Then we have anger. Angy. Don't talk to me. I angy. Where we at? Okay. Anger should be so impassivity. So people that don't mind getting kind of stomped on. Good tempered, being controlling, and ill tempered. That could work as any group, honestly. That could that's just, this is gonna be a very kind of, this doesn't tell us much about the group. Color of anger is red, but I cannot use that because I've used it quite a bit already. Maybe I can use this. Let's lower the opacity. Make it darker, Sure, this is only supposed to kind of give visuals to the stream to be able to see what I'm talking about. Good tempered. Yeah, this could technically be any group. So we're gonna talk and be like, yo, what's up? So this one also just definitely has us using truth for who is truth? What did freelancers have? Yeah, the freelancers had truth. Um, what about an all guy group and an all girl group? Kind of basic. I know it's been done like a lot of times before, but I like the idea of like the angry group of guys, and they're like, all granted, I can have them be very prideful as well. And then I have the girl group be very prideful. Yeah, both groups would be prideful. That's just a different trait. It doesn't need to be a part of their virtue or vice. I'm gonna roll with it for now. I can change it later. All guy group. They show anger. Anger, I hardly know her. And know her being all girl gang. Girl gang. Girl gang. I don't know. I keep switching between group and gang. All guy gang, all group girl gang. All girl gang being social life. I feel like that I'm doing a social commentary thing here. This is not meant to be a social commentary in any aspect. This is literally just what I'm choosing. Oh, did I step on this toe? Yes, I did. Yep. Gender groups. And basically, okay, so what these gender group things allow me to do is, granted, you could call it controversial because I only have two gender groups. Not really an issue because I'm not trying to say there's only two in the same that there's only two gangs in the city that have them. Either way, this lets me avoid a bit of controversy with gang violence, which is gangs being very exclusive and prejudiced. So instead of having to do anything with race, which doesn't, that doesn't mean it can't do anything with race later down the line, or as any sort of theme for any particular issue or any particular arc of story. But it does mean, because groups can be exclusive, being like you have to be of this ethnicity. Like if you look up gangs let me look up gangs on list of gangs, because you can see list of gangs in the United States. Oops, I just full screen my own stream. Why would I do that? You can see like a lot of these groups are just like I instinctively went to the Irish group. Funny that. The Playboys. Sorry. Yeah, you can see like a lot of these groups are just like, we are this race, so we hang out together. Polish mob, Greek mob, Russian mob, or mafia, Serbian mafia, Ukraine mafia, you know? So groups stick together based off of like nationality and race. So I'm just going to do one that's based off of and I'm sure some of these are probably based off of just gender, but those I feel easier. It feels like an easier theme for me to be able to tackle, being gender, not gender, but like just like have them be exclusive groups for only those things. Yeah, so it's not too bad. Not too bad at all. So what's next on the agenda? Whoops. Control Z. Control X. That's good. What's next on the agenda? That's a good question. Well, first I'm going to finish off my own little notepad over here, because I just left it blank, and there's social. Okay, fantastic. So I have the vices and I have the vices and I have the virtues, all, and the desires, which, you know, embodies both. Both designated, or all designated to the groups that I want them to. I've got to check this real quick. You know, there's a whole lot of messages there. I'm not gonna read them all. I'm sorry for keeping you waiting. Yeah, okay, so so we have everything picked out. Now we get to develop more. So personally, I'm gonna go with the one that I think is easiest for myself. The one that I find easiest talking about and coming up with fun ideas, being the brutal group. I know they're not one of the main players in the first arc, so I won't even be using them in my first issue, but maybe I will. But maybe you'll, you know, make me comfortable in getting to use these. My clipboard is, sorry, my clipboard is 753 by 1, and I was like, what do I have copied? And then I realized I just got rid of like a line. Anyway, new, what are we working on? What are we creating? We're creating logo slash, oh my god. What? Did I tell him to do that? Oops, I did not mean to do that. Why did we make this? What use is this? New. Okay, new. Yeah, I could have sworn I clicked this one. Or no, I'm probably, I don't know which one I clicked. Okay, doesn't matter. I thought I clicked this one. This is what I thought I clicked. So I want to come up with a logo for each brand, which is actually important for me because I am doing like graphic design and logo design. So I'll probably end up like revisiting these, but I want to get some ideas out on stream, and then I can like do little updates and show how I worked off camera and improve things. I'll not be working with a rasterized program, the ones where I can use, or I will not be working with a vectorized program such as like Illustrator, because I need to work on this computer, which only has the capacity to do Photoshop at the moment. I'm getting messages from everywhere, my dude. So yeah, this one I think will be fun. We'll create a little logo, and I feel like they should be like coherently aesthetic on a visual level, and brutal work in progress. So what things did I pull? I pulled this logo for blood. I pulled these two specific runes. Oh, I need to place this. I like these two runes. Place. And importantly, I pulled this sadism logo. So in what way should I take these? First off, what comes to mind is the fact that well, first off, we can get rid of like a lot of this, because these mean nothing to me. Says I mean not. Rasterize the bastard. Rasterize later. Goodbye. I said goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye and goodbye. So these are what I consider relevant to the. Oh, we want this one back. This is what I consider relevant. Sort of, because if these are the kind of brutal ones, and they're powerless, so their embodiment is desire, if I'm correct. Or pleasure, sorry. Desire is the overarching. Temperance. I'm pretty sure the symbol of temperance is a heart. Temperance. What happens if we look up temperance? Okay, this, which is manual of temperance. Okay, sure. We get temperance, the tarot card. The upside down temperance. Maybe we can use the tarot card. Oh my god, look at this. Interesting. Temperance, so chalice. Chalice is a good symbol that we're seeing consistently. So what if I'm just gonna play around with some ideas real quick. Who's zone? Sarah, who's down? Thank you. So I'm gonna create a new layer. Oh no. Okay. Wait. Oh no. Okay. It's all good. It's all good. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm not worried. You're worried. So I'm just gonna do really, 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 really rough sketches. So first thing to do is delete. What if we do? Can we combine all? Absolutely not. We cannot do that. So what I was thinking is we have this. I don't know if it's gonna look good. I want to get a better brush because this one looks horrendous. What are we working with? What brushes have I downloaded? Oil pastel, chalk. Right. This is the most reliable. Wow, this is not really good for. Yeah, we want hard brush. Hard round. Cool. How about this? Oh, I like that. We'll stick with our boy. Yeah. So let's delete this layer. Let's go back to what we're doing. Okay. Lower the size of the brush. Thank you. So if I create something that looks like this. Does it look structurally sound? Not structurally sound. I don't know what I'm talking about. Cool. So that are any of these good logo? Nope. Nope, they are not. How can I use this? I should be able to come up with something better. Not something better than like the actual. I just mean like something in general. There's something better than this trash. This isn't my suggestion for an actual logo. Although, no, just joking. Unless, rule. Let's get rid of this bottom bit. I don't like the structure that we were building up there. So based off of the two runes, I feel. Well, actually, we can take up the thorn one a bit more if we just do this. So we'll get rid of that. Get rid of that. And we'll draw down. And we'll draw down. We'll draw up. We'll draw up. Sure. I'll make it even looking properly when I develop what I'm actually working. Okay, let's start playing with shapes again. So we do a circle. All these squares make a circle. All these squares make a circle. We paint her black. And we paint this for the time being. Not selected. So remove this. Yep, I should have been paying attention. Shit. X V. You can bring this over here. What can it actually look like? We'll use this as a guideline. That's fine. So we'll get. I like to switch between using my drawing tablet and my trackpad. I was gonna say mouse. I wish I had my mouse, although I feel we're very like crisscrossed at the ends. I'm just not used to the setup. I'm usually just in my bed with the laptop just working away. Not really worrying too much about having a proper space setup. But if I want to stream and have this microphone here and have a green screen back here, I need a webcam, an internet out here, and I have a fire going over there. A lot of stuff going on around me. A lot more than I usually do. Okay, sorry for getting distracted. We shall proceed with not measuring how wide our circle is, but just eyeballing it because I can fix it later. Actually, I don't need to because this is going to be graffiti emblems. These aren't going to be like proper ones, so they'll be drawn slightly different each time because they're all going to be drawn by different people. Because I need to keep that in mind. These aren't like official. These are not official. These are not professional. These are made by a group, all with differing opinions and style and personality that all do things differently. Okay, I got it like this at the moment. Then we do our. Well, first off, let's bring this down here. And this. Okay. Apologies if I'm a bit quieter. Sure, we can move that there, and we can move this. Doesn't tell me, does it? Okay, so I can use these as indicators. Two, okay. Ah, yeah, that's not usually exact. That's all I know is I need to bring this up a tiny bit. There we go. Now we can use these. Um, hmm. Is that accurate? I didn't go from one to the other. Let's start this again. Let's start this again. Let's go from here to where I believe the center. To out here. To out here. To out there. I need to check something real quick. Absolutely no one in the stream. Yay! Of course. What did I expect? Cool. So, next up is Kid. Don't know what sort of shape I made there, so let's start again. Dude, what the Frankfurters? Nice. Is this enough? God no. God no. Kind of looks like the shield logo now I look at it. Hmm. Oh, I can make him angry. Oh, he angry. I could turn it into a sort of face. It's very, very uneven. Um, what if I make this black again? Hear me out. Hear me out. So we make the color dark, and we make these yes. Oop, and I oop. Looks uneven. I know it does, but it's fine. It doesn't need to be proper. But what it does need to do is match this incline, because that's going to bother me. Parallel, please. A whole lot less jank. Thank you. You need to go. Ah, much better. Oh, that's way too much. What if we had a little bit of black? R. Nope. Control R. I'll take these with you. Hmm. What do I want to do with the top? Do I want this? Tell me now. I'm going to make eyes and turn into a face, which might look a bit shitty, but we're gonna do it. How do I feel about this? Looks like a derpy face, obviously. Some bit of it. Same thing if I do that. What if we do this? Keep in mind all of these have to look good in black and white because that's probably what I'm going to be coloring. Um, black. There we go. Change red. Change. And then we do a little thing called move this over this way. No, do a little thing called do this. Move that down. Move that back up. So we have everything properly selected. And then we do a no. Yeah, apply. Sure. Then we do a gradient. Yep. All the way around. And we make the red a little more oomph. Let's put solid gray then. I want to see what that looks like for the center pike. Needs to be darker, definitely dark. And finally, let's do one of these boys. Not one of these boys, don't worry. Not what I meant. What does that mean? I don't know. More is less? Is more less? So let's get these out of here. Let's look it up. I wish it was a little lower down. We can do that. Just Control T, move. File. Just do this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Oh shit, dude! What? Who did that? Who did that? Control. Oh. Oh, Control X. Oh, never mind. Yeah, no, that makes sense. My bad. I can only bring it down like a tiny bit before I can make room, but I think we only need a tiny bit. Don't need to be that sharp. And we don't need it to be this. And then we don't need this. Ah! Okay. Bridge layer. So what do we think? That's our temporary logo. I don't like it. I'm not too fond of it. We can exchange that at any point, I think. But that's our temporary setup for now. Um, 1 second. Thank you. God damn it. My microphone was indeed off. I feel like an idiot. So what I was saying was, I feel much happier about. Hi. Thanks a lot. Oh, one moment. Yeah. So what I was talking about before, I got distracted, was that, or before I realized my mic was off. Yeah, good introduction considering the fact that I was just going on a rant about like how you can create designs and then you'll think the ones you make after that are worse, and then eventually you'll make something better and you'll be like, the first one was horrible, how did I even like that in the first place? But yeah, kind of a moot point now. Hi, welcome to the stream. Right now I'm just creating logos for a bunch of different factions that are going to be in the story that I'm writing. A lot of these have working titles. None of these, or all of them, have working titles. None of them are the official names that I want to give them, and not even necessarily the direction I want to bring them in. But right now, I was designing one for the brutal, kind of more sadistic faction that I have in mind for one of the groups. I'm not writing a novel. I'm writing a technically, I guess it's a comic. It's not really a comic either, because I'm going to be adapting it into a like dynamic motion graphics video as well. So if you ever see kind of YouTubers that make like videos of existing comics, like you know, if someone just picks up like a DC or Marvel comic and like gets rid of the words and then they voice act over the words. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have voice acting in the videos yet, but I'll be like kind of telling the story through like a dynamic video, but it will be a comic that you can read, and I have a website as well dedicated to it. I think there's a link to it in the description, but it's not, there's nothing really on it, so it's not really worth checking out at the moment. But yeah, I'm hoping to like start this entire process from start to finish, and I've also managed to make it a college project, so I should have reason to keep up with it. Kind of like an animatic. It's pretty much like an animatic, but it won't really advance beyond the. It won't really become fully animated, and it won't really and there will be an actual copy on the website as well. But the good thing about that is that you should design for what you're intending. So animatics can kind of sometimes be empty because they know it's only supposed to serve as a guideline for the animation. Whereas for this, I know that I'm going to develop I'm not producing anything beyond this, so it should be beyond the quality of an animatic, in terms of like pacing and storytelling. But then again, I am inexperienced, so maybe it won't turn out so good. But you know, feel free to stick around and find out whether or not it'll end up being successful or not. Yeah, sorry if that's a lot to take in. I'm not really not really finding the easiest way to explain what I'm doing to people. What's the story about? It's kind of like a I'm kind of setting up the world, so it's I'm kind of setting up the like world pieces first. So I'm creating characters, creating factions and a gang, and I'm creating this entire fictional city and entire fictional world, and then I have a bit of a narrative in my head, and like a story to follow. But a lot of them I'm just kind of setting up the set pieces first, and then I'll have the story to like flow along. I do have a good idea of the story that I want to go with at the moment, but I love having these pieces that I'm like, oh, so this is the brutal faction, and they, you know, they don't have any because this is going to be like a power based system, so it's going to have like they're going to have their own like set of powers, which I have explained in previous streams. Yeah. So the thing about that is these guys are supposed to not have them, but they're supposed to be able to be strong enough to hold their own, despite not having them, and they are one of like aware of these kind of sci-fi. It's gonna be like urban based. It's gonna be in a city. It's definitely fiction based. It's got its own like power system, but it's gonna be less scientific because I'm probably not gonna have guns in the world, because I can kind of decide which technologies from the real world I can take in, and maybe create environments. So I'm not sure if I'll have like vehicles. I'm not sure if I'll have I'm not sure of a few things and what to include and what I shouldn't include. Because if you have a magic based system, I just call it a magic system for the simplicity's sake. If you have a power system or a magic system and you have guns in that world as well, you'd have to like upscale how strong people are, so that you have good reason for why characters just don't carry around guns all the time. Or if you wanted to make them carry around guns all the time, have that be so. But that's not really what I want. So I'm keeping things without weapon, or I'm still gonna have weaponry for characters that don't have powers, or for people to use in conjunction with their powers. But yeah, so I'm just gonna make like a little fiction power based system, kind of. Yeah, kind of like how nobody uses guns in Harry Potter's world. Why wouldn't you use a gun against a magic wand, you know? Yeah, so I'm gonna leave this for now. I'm going to move on to another one because I want to kind of get like at least like a little base level of each design. So Snape tried the Voldemort stared at him. Okay. Is that I actually haven't seen some of the final movies, or if I haven't like properly sat down to watch them, so that'd be actually funny if that is real. But I actually have no idea if that's a joke or not. So I kind of have all the factions themed after vices and virtues, based off of Aristotle's analysis of vices and virtues. I don't know if I feel comfortable clicking links, but sure. Okay. Wow. Yeah, you don't need to read it all. I'm mostly just using this this chart for this chart to like kind of explain a lot of it, because he basically broke it down to like 12 base desires, and you need to kind of balance out the desires. There's a lot more, and a lot more, like I can make more well nuanced characters if I decide to delve into detail, but I won't subject anyone to looking at this. I basically, that's why I have these, and I have coded them to which group I want to use for each virtue. Each character will have their own personalities properly, but if they're part of a group, they'll probably represent a certain amount of each desire, positive or negative. Yes, like I've like 3 of the like main characters. So for I can use these for the example. If I at first I haven't really gone into honor thing because I've so we'll ignore honor for a moment. For achievement being the desire of the protagonist group, the leader is overly ambitious, the protagonist character has a lack of ambition, and then the side character is actually the most virtuous of the 3, and the one that's probably going to receive the least amount of focus. But not the least amount of focus. He'll get quite a bit of focus being a main character, but yeah, I kind of like the idea of having the main characters kind of be flawed, so they'll be closer to vices and kind of opposing side of each vice. Then also I have a kind of foil to the main leader of the gang, which is in, so he's overly ambitious, and this guy is malice. Yeah, there's a lot I have kind of in my head that I need to like transcribe. Hopefully the story will come out well. I'd say each character can explore a theme. Yeah, definitely. I have. Oh yeah, no, yeah. So these are not meant to be like cut and dry. This person is this thing. This person is this thing, or this person has various amounts of this. This is just kind of guidelines for how I want the sorry, let me rewrite it. For example, Verse from Song of Ice and Fire represents the people and the realm. Yeah, well, Peter represents chaos and ladders. He does, that man likes his ladders. Yeah, see, cause that's the thing with writing the characters. So I decided for the groups I'm going with vices and virtues. So as a whole the group will represent one thing, but that will kind of, it won't be very apparent because I'm not going to use it as like a fallback, and you're not going to see that these people are all this much. This is just kind of a guideline for me to fall into if I need to like send a certain group a certain direction, whereas each character in the group has their own sort of motives, desires, and we can even see kind of, even in this we can, I like to like use this as you know, you can see how people act, and there's a lot, yeah, there's a lot I want to do with individual characters themselves. But before I can start looking at individual characters, I need to be able to look at the groups that I'm putting them in from the get-go. Like for instance, I even have this freelance group. There is no actual freelance group, but I'm gonna have like a bunch of unique characters that are independent of any factions or groups. So what group? I'll let you pick. What which group do you think would be interesting to make a logo for at the current moment? We have the protagonist group, which I've kind of been leaving to last because I'm afraid of it. I'm like, probably need to put like a lot into that. The brutal group, which I just made, which I have represent of pleasure, which I didn't really show in the logo, which I might revisit. I'd say the easiest way would be just to write a quick hero's journey story, just center on one main protagonist and just refine afterwards. Yeah, that is typically the easiest way to write a story, and granted, a more successful way to write stories, because if you use the hero's journey as, because like arguably people say all movies follow the plot of a hero's journey, or all story narratives follow. I don't think I think forcing things into the hero's journey a lot of time, but most things definitely follow hero's journey, and that's where you get like a lot of good stories. But a lot of what this project is seeing how building a world and using set pieces, like as if you were kind of developing a less so a kind of story, like a movie, and more so kind of a enactment of characters. So if you think about like tabletop role playing games and how you like make characters and you interact with the world and around them, you can kind of think of it that way, as if I'm like building a bunch of like characters and then I'm putting them in a world and playing them to their personalities and seeing how they would interact in certain environments. So I'm less so building a story around trying to build a completely solid story. I'm obviously still aiming to do that, and a proper narrative is definitely what yeah, oh god, D&D, but I play all characters and it's secretly D&D, but no one else knows that I'm the only one playing. Yeah. There's a reason why I cannot get into those. You can't get into like D&D and role-playing games. Oh yeah, it just goes on forever. Yeah, no, entirely. Well, besides the sessions themselves that go on for like hours, so you need like to sit down and play them for a long while, and then campaigns like last for weeks, and you have to schedule. I don't like D&D for that reason. I used to follow a show called Realms, because they used to do like mostly one-offs. And I quite like that because they started like to write and build a world. This guy called Rob. So he made this thing called U Realms, and I'd say it also fell into the category of it just goes on forever, because, well, not anymore because it got cancelled, but yeah, just sort of, I like the idea of having the one-offs. It's just a lot more digestible, but obviously what I'm doing right here is grand scale, so yeah, not a simple hero's journey, which would probably be the smart thing to do, but instead I'm playing my own little game, building set pieces and then seeing how they interact with each other. Oh no, what they did, it didn't get cancelled necessarily. It was a show. It got a lot of support, and it still gets a lot of support, and people beg for it to come back. This guy basically paid for like art assets and animations, and people like donated consistently, and he got like so much money. And not that like money's a big thing to chase in that scenario, but it helped them to fund the next show, and then running that show helped them to fund the next show. And he was able to just like make a series where the audience was able to interact. So it's a different thing than what I'm doing completely. But since this is a part of a college project for me, I can write about that sort of stuff. So it just got cancelled due to in its 4th season, a lot of the artists, I think there was like a controversy. Why not? You need to pay for stuff. I don't think going about money should be frowned upon. Yeah, I also feel the same. I hate kind of the mentality of like, oh, sell out. Obviously money's important, but he wasn't just doing this thing to take money. He was doing it as a passion project, and he managed to get 4 entire seasons out of it. And he managed to like turn profit and like pay a bunch of artists and pay a bunch of animators to like make things for him, which I thought was like really neat. If you're not doing yourself a favor, if you're not paying, yeah. So he used to like commission artists to like make his maps. He would have events that you like donation goals, so you donate and then you impact the story directly. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, you should never just work out of love for something. You know, like so. Unless you know that's what you want to do in your spare time. If you want to do that, that's fine. But you can't just fully commit yourself to working out with like passion. You should find something that you're passionate about and turn that into a revenue source, possibly. But yeah, he managed to like pay artists to like make art assets to use for his show, and like get like animations to play for like custom events that are donation goals that you pay for. So he yeah. Now I'm just like going off about a series that I used to like. Only just got cancelled like a month ago or 2 months ago, just because of like some personal falling out between people, not because of any show reasons, but it's definitely interesting to talk about nonetheless. I was even on the forums of the place, and the guy sorry, the guy, one guy on the forums was talking about like, oh, what would you do to get the show back? Yeah, what would you give up for your runs? Yeah, I just found that kind of funny that like people are like, can we pay any amount to try and get the show back? Either way, no, I might have to cut this short to go get like food and meet up with people. So, it's been fun talking to you, human robot. Thank you for coming into the chat and paying attention to what I'm doing. I'll be taking a break now, and I'll probably be back out sometime tomorrow. Hopefully. Yeah, thanks for coming out. And hopefully I can make progress with this at some later stage. And if you want to pop by and see how things are progressing, you can feel free. Oh yeah, flawed characters are well, one last thing, flawed characters are my favorite. I don't really have that many at the I don't, yeah, so courageous, instinctual, expressive, foolhardy, upbeat, and like easy to anger, and but I also have them with like a lack of ambition, so they're easy to anger and fall into. I love writing flaws to characters. In those like roleplay games, I love playing characters that are flawed, because yeah, some people go with like, I want to make the coolest, best character. I'm like, no, I want to make this shithead. Much more interesting, and like watching shows and watching movies, like the flawed characters are the ones that stand out to me as like being really cool and being like interesting. So definitely, having characters with flaws that improve, and having characters with flaws that, you know, sometimes they just live with, and those are, you know, defining qualities of the character. Either way, I gotta head out now, so I'm gonna turn off the stream. Thanks for everything.